Hey everyone, this is Africa, and I really want to talk to you today about why you should be pushing your boundaries, and specifically 2 ways to push your boundaries so that you'll continue to evolve. But before I really get into this, I want to give you a word of caution. Today my husband, Seth, and I, we went driving around in the country. We had the best time. I'm not going to lie, we had a great time. My son went into the store with my husband, like one of those little convenience stores, and bought some weird kind of candy. And I said, "Why'd you buy that? You know it's not good for you." He's like, "But I want to try something new." I said, "Yeah, I understand why you try something new, but you need to know that you can't try everything new, especially if you already know it's not good for you." So that's my word of caution with the boundary pushing. Don't do something that's patently unhealthy for you just for the thrill of doing it. Do things that make sense. So, with that word of caution, let me move on. So, the one thing I would say is 2 ways to push your boundaries. Option one, sometimes you're just kind of stuck in a rut. You do the same thing over and over again. You haven't really changed anything up, in which case, use the Goldilocks principle. Try something that's a little less, try something that's a little more intense, less intense, doing it a completely different way. All those kinds of things will start to push your boundaries. Will start letting you see what is possible to do if I push a little harder, if I let go. I mean, sometimes really pushing your boundaries is about letting go of doing it yourself. Now, that's a pretty big one, and that's a whole different kind of boundary. But letting go of doing everything yourself or making it to be only the way that you want to do it, that's a huge boundary that you just kind of need to pull back from. So, don't have to, but using the Goldilocks principle, that's one really good way to explore that. Doing a little less or pushing down that gas, doing a little more. The next one is the one I experienced today. Like I said, I've had a bit of wine. I went to a place called Archield, Texas, kind of around Johnson City, 71 and 281, I think it was. No, 12 and 281. Anyway, around Johnson City. And it was great. I mean, the views there are spectacular, and I probably really should have made this video there because the view is insane. But, I was drinking wine at the time. A bunch of different little samplers. Anyway, so I just went up there. It was a deal where you could pay like $13, sample 5 different wines. And I really didn't know what to sample. I had no idea. And my usual mode is to just go into analysis paralysis, to literally just go down the entire wine menu, try to Google what may or may not be good, and I would have been there for hours. Instead, I just asked the wine sommelier. I said, what do you suggest? She asked me a few questions. I used her expertise, right? And just picked with what she went with. And we went from there. And I got to try 5 different wines. And to be honest, the very first one, the one that she picked initially, is the one that I loved the most. But I would have never known that. Because to be perfectly honest, I don't even like wine. That in and of itself was me pushing my boundaries to try something new. My husband's not a big wine drinker either. Neither of us are even big drinkers. We just saw it as we were driving by. We're like, hey, let's try this. Again, with that caution thing, it wasn't going to kill us. It wasn't a bad thing to do or something that is inherently dangerous. But we went up there and we tried it. And it was a wonderful experience. So when I'm talking about pushing your boundaries, it should be something that you're doing at least once a week so that you continue to grow, so that you continue to evolve. And it could be something as simple as seeing a place on the roadside and deciding, I'm going to try that. That's a boundary push, right? Just like my husband and I did. Well, let's go ahead and try this thing. Or it could be something more intense, like a client of mine went ziplining, and she's deathly afraid of heights. So you get to decide every week how you're going to push your boundaries. It doesn't have to be the same way every time. In fact, because you're pushing boundaries, it shouldn't be the same way every time. Now, the one thing I realized is I'm going to pay out this money, and what if I don't like it? So again, that's that analysis paralysis piece. And I thought, who cares? Try it anyway, right? It's okay if I sampled every single wine and hated them all. I would have at least tried. And sometimes that's what matters the most, is just trying. And then I'm going to say, once you're done, once you've really pushed that boundary, take a step back and congratulate yourself for even doing it. Yeah, because it's not every day. It's not everyone who's willing to push their boundaries, who's willing to try something new or something different or just a different way. Or as I mentioned earlier, letting go a bit. All right, that's all I've got. So with that, I say peace, joy, love to you.